the different sampradayas of India, of Dharma traditions, be whether they're from the Hindu tradition, and the word Hindu is it's a big word for a lot of things. For the Vaishnava tradition, the Shakti tradition, the Shaivite tradition of Shiva, and the list goes on and on of all the traditions in India under this one term. And then obviously you have Buddhism, you have Jainism, you have Sikhism, you have the Parsis, the Zoroastrians still in India. So many, many traditions in India. But all of those traditions have one thing in common, which is they're all non-dualistic traditions. They don't have duality. They don't have this idea of there's yourself and there's God somewhere, or the divine is somewhere else, or is separate from you, is separate from your reality, separate from your mind, and you're trying to get there astrally or try to get there energetically. It's already inside you. Once you move your ego out of the way, then you will see it. So they're systems of purification. They're not belief systems. They're not giving you a belief. They're giving you practices. So in Buddhism, the silas, the different vows or the different ideas, the different things that we can practice, compassion. The core of all Dharma traditions, compassion first, Daya, then Dharma. Without Daya, there is no Dharma. Without compassion, there's no such thing as a good path. You can pretend you're living the best path, but without compassion, it's useless. And in the world that we inhabit, there's just so much duality. So the West bombs many countries, Western countries, and then they offer medical aid and charity. You're better off not to bomb in the first place than trying to, give people that you're bombed, who are burnt, hospital places. Better not to do that in the first place. That's what happens when you remove compassion from religion, in inverted commas. Very dangerous thing. So compassion is the key to Dharma in India. And obviously, I'm not saying it's played out in India either. It's got its own problems. And so there's the own kind of metaphysical and Brahmanic and other kind of hierarchical problems. I'm not no way saying it's a utopia just because I take a little shot at the West about the foreign policy. And so compassion is the key. And what is the root of compassion according to the Buddha, the board? To know everything is interconnected. So if you know the person you're hurting is yourself, the person that you hate on is yourself, then you reduce that type of activity. When you see otherness, this is something else, that one's something else, that person black, this is a woman, this is a child, this is an old person, that person is poor. Manchester City versus Man United today, Manchester, these two teams from the same city against each other. When you create otherness, you create friction. And that otherness, that separateness is that duality that we have to overcome. So that's what unites all the Dharma traditions. And just for the people who practice Buddhism in this room, just something interesting from the Sikh tradition. So Guru Gobind Singh, when he left this earth, he left the earth in Maharashtra at Hazur Sahib, where he spent his final days. And there he wrote a treatise called Mukta Marg Granth, the scripture of the path of liberation. And in there on the first page, he talks about the Buddha and about Shabad, about the word, and about liberation, and how the Buddha came to give the mantra, to give the scripture, to give the vibration, to liberate all sentient beings. That's on the first page of that scripture. And you've got to think, well, why would the Guru do that? Because for the Guru, there's no separateness. There's not like a Buddhist and a Hindu and a Muslim and a Christian. They're people, and they're pathways, but they all have a common truth. So that's why we also employ mantra, like in Buddhism and all kind of Indian traditions. And interestingly, Guru Gobind Singh was born in Patna Sahib near Bodh Gaya. So Bodh Gaya is where the Buddha achieved enlightenment. under the Bodhi tree there, and which is commemorated. So there's some parallelisms in the traditions, and then also Padamasampava, the guru of the Madhyamaka school of Buddhism, is often thought as one of the other earlier incarnations of Guru Nanak. And Padamasampava is very famous for his handprints and miraculous kind of occurrences where he would leave his handprint on certain rocks, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji is also known for that in certain parts of India, Bhutan, and all over. And so if you go to the Golden Temple, Harmandir Sahib in Amritsar, you spend some time there, you'll often see a lot of Buddhist pilgrims as well who come in there, because it's said that Padamasampava bathed in that same sacred lake as well. And so there's some parallelisms there. I meant to kind of write an essay at some point, being an academic, but I just haven't got around to it. It's too theoretical, and just find that stuff boring, to be fair. Footnoting, stuff like that. It's not really interesting, but I will one day. And so the last mantra we did, in the Buddhist tradition, the Mahayana tradition, if you go to the Kala Chakra temple and Dharamsala, which is near Punjab as well, where the Dalai Lama is, if you go into some of the temples and you look at the Tanka paintings, you'll often see depictions of the feminine divine. So all the versions of the divine, they're not just the Buddha, they're not just male, there's also the female deities. And likewise, Guru Gobind Singh, in the scripture of all light or all steel, he praises Ad Bhavani Mata Chandika Devari Devari. Ad, before their time existed in the primeval abyss, Mata, there was the mother, Chandika, the lustrous Devi, and she is verily divine, she is divine. So the Guru calls on that feminine essence. And one kind of critique of modern religions and religious movements is they're very patriarchal and very male-based, with the priestly class who are male and God is seen as male, and it's all kind of Saturnian and systematic and law-based. And that really cuts half of life, throws it half out of the window. And really any good spiritual practice is life-affirming, not life-rejecting. That's sociopathic and psychologically sick to kind of go away and leave society when you're born from a woman yourself, and then to leave her in her old age and you don't pay any attention to her, and she's your mother or your sister or your father. And so that's a critique. I'm sorry if anyone's offended by that, but I'm just telling you how I see it. So in the kind of healthier way of looking at things, we embrace life, and we embrace our body, we embrace family, we embrace society, and we become citizens that can be of use, of service, and of prayer, and of humility and clarity. And that's also an important aspect of Dharma practice, having life affirmation, and that's more connected to the feminine side of the spirituality. And it's very, very important to understand that. Although, monasticism, solitude, silence, aloneness, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, as long as you're not rejecting something else. There are some people who really are like that, and it's good that they do that, and they hold a lot of information and they really like that. But I couldn't say that represents all the people who sit in these kind of institutions. I've stayed in them, so I can give you a really good critique and tell you what really happens in those places. And so spirituality has to be interwoven with the feminine divine in our kind of view. And that, again, you'll find that in the iconography in Buddhism, in the Hindu tradition, in the Jain tradition, in the Sikh tradition, and other, obviously, with Mother Mary in the Christian tradition, Lady Fatima in the Sufi tradition, and so forth. So in that light, we're going to do another mantra, which is from that same scripture of Sri Sarabho, which is the Sri Maya Lakshmi. So Sri Maya Lakshmi is the goddess of prosperity, the goddess of, many people think wealth, but actually she's also the goddess of health. If you chase after wealth your whole life, then the other half of your life you're just trying to get over the diseases while you're chasing that wealth and trying to pay for medicines and expensive operations and traveling around the world and trying to find a solution to the illness. Better not to get it in the first place. And so Siddhi Lakshmi represents that buddhi or discernment to lead you the right way. So you don't waste. So you live in a state of equilibrium, and if you're in a state of equilibrium, you'll gain. You won't lose your health or your wealth. So Siddhi Lakshmi, again, feminine divine, like the Mother Mary, the one who gives, the one who protects us. And actually, in the Rig Veda, she's one of the earlier goddesses, and her temple in the Rig Veda is still present in Kolhapur, isn't it? Yeah, in India. It's about 4 or 5 hours from Goa. And that's actually mentioned in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is very ancient. And so the Maya Lakshmi has a long tradition in India as a deity.
Bye.